We've got Josh and Trevor on. Really
Whoop, whoop.
appreciate you guys joining. You guys are always awesome, always in the comments. Looking at the comments right now, it looks like you guys have both been crowned number one. So I guess you two are some of my top fans. I love it.
That's
Really, really appreciate it, guys. Seriously, it always means a lot seeing you guys on, seeing you guys join the lives, and seeing you guys comment on our regular videos when they post too. It's something I look forward to. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Means very much to us.
We only think you're kind of crazy for tuning into us.
Yeah, exactly. we don't understand what we do, but we sure appreciate
We're
you guys
glad you're
and
along for the ride.
awesome support that you guys are. So I know, several of you guys have joined through being supporters of JT and Fishing with Gramps. Obviously, we're all still praying for him. It's nice to see him starting to make a little bit of a recovery. I know him getting to start working on walking again is going to be huge for him. But yeah, so appreciate you guys coming over after being such a big supporter of him and giving us the support and giving us the love. We greatly appreciate that, guys. So tonight we are going to be talking a lot about our Minnesota trip. Some of you guys may have already seen, we've posted 2 of the videos from our trip so far.
Mm-hmm.
So day 1, where we fished on the Mississippi River in the St. Cloud area, the St. Paul area. And then day 2, where we actually went into tournament waters and fished Orono Lake, which fed into the Elk River. Yeah. And we fished that a little bit. So, but yeah, just going to kind of talk about the trip, how much fun it was. Kind of tell a little bit of the experiences that you guys won't see in videos, and then tell some of what's to come over the next few videos, because there's a lot to come, a lot of excitement in this. There was so much excitement in that trip. It was really a blast.
It was
of a
so
trip.
much fun.
So I think we will probably go ahead and kick it off. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So I wanted to start out by just saying, we made this trip up there. It was a long trip. I see my dad's in here. My parents actually watched the kids. So thank you guys so much for watching the kids. This was a trip that we couldn't have made without a babysitter at all.
It had to be one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. There was
no
me. Way. Yeah, there was no way we could have done this with the kids. So this year will actually be our 15th anniversary of being married. And we always try to do a big trip every 5 years. So this kind of just worked out. Yeah, Grandpa for the win.
That's right.
This kind of just worked out for that big trip of the 5-year anniversary. So
super romantic.
Yeah. We got, hey, she has been loving fishing, and don't let her even pretend like this was not something that she was all about. So we got the opportunity to go out and spend time with each other and spend time in a brand new area for both of us. So really cool experiences. Got some great food, and
we really did.
Yeah, got some great food and just really had such a good time. The travel was
boring.
Yeah,
it was really boring.
It was something I was like, oh, it's cool because
the way new states.
Yeah, the way we traveled was we actually went from Illinois over to Iowa. And thought that would be kind of neat seeing Iowa. I've never been to Iowa. And we went from cornfields in Indiana to cornfields in Illinois to cornfields in Iowa.
All through Iowa.
So our entire trip through Iowa, we seen cornfields the whole way. So we were like, okay, well, now we know Iowa's cornfields. I'm sure there's part of Iowa that's not cornfields. So if any of y'all are listening,
I knew there were
Iowa,
cornfields, but I didn't realize it was just
all the way to the northern part of Iowa.
It was just all cornfields. So I was a little surprised.
It was something.
At a certain point, it looked exactly like it does, and yeah, he did. We listened to a lot of you.
Yeah,
we listened to the Casting Faith podcast.
Did listen to the Casting Faith podcast. We got I got 2 episodes in. The travel there, travel back. We got 2 episodes in total. So it was pretty awesome. He said, "I'm sorry." Mama Gone Fishing said, "My grandpa lived in Iowa. Nothing to see there."
Yeah, there's really not. I don't know why that I thought it was different.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's still cool. We got to travel through there, but there was just nothing there in the area we traveled. So we made our first stop just not far into the Minnesota border. So we ended up traveling all the way into Minnesota, went probably an hour into Minnesota, maybe.
Yeah.
And so we were a total of, I think at that point, 4 hours away from St. Cloud, something like that. And we stopped there for the night and grabbed some food at Stellina's in Rochester, Minnesota. And it was a little Italian place. Kind of fancy when you walk in, and really good food.
Fancy
I really enjoy.
us.
Yeah, fancy for us. Like
we have 4 kids.
We're just a couple country folks, you know.
We don't go to fancy places. We go to Mexican restaurants where there's chips and cheese.
Yeah, but it was very good food. I got, I think, a steak Alfredo. Had plenty of steak in it. Had some mushrooms, which is something I love, and the Alfredo sauce was good. Great pasta. It was really good food. They had a bread that came out with before the meal, and the bread was really good also.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, so then the next day we got up and traveled to St. Paul, Minnesota, which our friend Bill, we were actually meeting up with him. He has a YouTube channel also. It's MN Yak Fishing, I think 1969. But we were meeting up with him to do some of the fishing with him, at least for the pre-fishing. And we got there a little early, so he was still working. We decided to kind of drive around and find a place to put in and fish.
That is harder than it sounds in Minnesota, that land of 1,000 lakes, because there's literally, you go through the list and I'm like, well, we could try here, I guess. And you're sitting there trying to like figure out where to go, and half of them don't actually have access to them. Like, I mean, yeah, we're in kayaks, we could have drug them down, but we didn't really feel like doing that.
There also wasn't parking.
Yeah, there was no parking.
Most of them that we were at. So like a lot of them in the area that we were, you had to access them through getting on the Mississippi River and going upriver to the location, or downriver to the location, to like a creek that fed into them, which is great if we were motorized, but the river was flowing fast there.
That area is really big, and there's a ton of barges and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really want to play.
It just wasn't worth chancing us getting on the river and end up getting washed down the river and going way further than we wanted to go. So yeah, we just kind of looked at a few different places, looked at a couple little lakes, and then happened upon a spot where we walked up to the Mississippi River that was like a little overlook, and they had a bike path. And there was a guy there that said that there was an excellent spot to put in and get on some of the backwaters of the Mississippi River. And he said it was like a mile. You could go down a mile, and you could have some little islands to go around. And he said it was not too much to paddle against, which we're both in pedal drives. So we figured if people can paddle it, we can definitely pedal it. So we drove over to that spot and put in. It was very, very, very dirty water in that area. Yeah, it was. Everything was real dark, very chocolate muddy. Milk water. But they had the same rains that we had leading up to this. So that's part of the reason why the river was flowing as fast as it was. And I'm sure that was probably one of the reasons why it was so muddy. That area was, like I said, very chocolate milk. We fished for a few hours throughout that. I was, of course, maybe like
three hours or so out there to waste or so.
Yeah, I was, of course, throwing the my crankbaits like always. And
I threw everything.
Yeah, and I threw several other things, but I was throwing my crankbaits like always. And I got on a walleye really just not far into the trip at all. It was a small one, probably 10 to 12 inches, something like that.
I never had a nibble the entire day.
Yeah.
That day. I had nothing.
I had another bite later in the day in a really fast moving spot. I could feel some down brush, and I was running the crankbait along that. And I had one come up and bite right through there. And then on our way out, the exact same place that I caught that first walleye, I made a cast down that exact same. There was a marina there, which we ended up seeing later. We weren't even supposed to be fishing there, but nonetheless,
the sign's like on the.
If you're coming in from the river into the marina, you see that it says no fishing. But if you're coming from where we put in to the marina, the sign is completely out of the way.
You can't see it unless you're like. Anyways.
Yeah. So. But we came right back to that same spot, and pirates. We came back to that same spot, and I pulled up next to that same marina dock that I was casting down before, and I was running the crankbait through, and I had something hit a lot harder, and it ended up being a nice walleye. I did not get a chance to measure it. I'm going to guess somewhere in the 18 to 19 inch range. But you guys, if you've watched that video, you see me grab it, and I'm like about to get my measuring board to measure it, and Kayla's like, hey, I'm going to take a picture. So I turn and I hang it over the side, and when I hang it over the side, it flops, and
oops.
Yeah, there it went. There it went. So
should you get right away? So according to my husband, okay, so sorry, I'm going to say this for podcast form, but how do you say that?
Long goodie.
There we go. So you just got a pedal drive fishing kayak. What accessories should I get right away? According to Chase, he says don't get anything right away. Take it out first and see what you need and what you like and where you want to put things.
Yeah.
For me, I think that something everybody's going to need is definitely a rod holder, which I'm sure is linked in some of his things. The Yak Attack Rod Holders, I pretty much, everyone I know pretty much has one, helps hold it, because you got your ones in the back, but it keeps one accessible right there. Not necessarily needed because you could just lay it down, but it sure is nice.
Yeah, especially with a pedal drive where if you were laying your rods in front of you, there's a chance you could actually pedal on them and snap one, which is something that I'm not used to. Yeah, because I'm still getting used to that pedal drive there. And we've had a lot of trips in them, but I still, every once in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't put my rod there or else I will possibly snap one.
But then when it comes to the rest of the accessories, it really just depends on what type of you're fishing for. Are you fishing in the river? Are you fishing on a lake? So there's a lot that kind of goes into that. But that would probably be a good
I can't say enough. Spend some time in your kayak.
Yeah,
spend
and then
some
just
time, because
take notes of what you need and what you want.
Even my kayak, I still can't say I know for sure where I want to put all the accessories that I want. Like when I add a fish finder and stuff to mine, I've still got to figure out exactly where I'm going to build it. I'm going to have to build some kind of track to hold that fish finder, because I do not want it on the tracks that I currently have.
No.
So I've got to have it in a location that I don't have yet. So I'm still not 100% set on that. I will recommend, we have a video that talks about essentially getting into kayak fishing. Go back and watch that. It's in our podcast as well. Go back and watch that video after you finish this one. Stick around for this one, and then once this one's over, go and follow up on that one, because it'll give you a little bit more info on that. We kind of break it down, like what we've added to ours and stuff like that. So yeah, we decided to hit up that river, and then the next day, hey, how's it going, Chris?
Hi, Chris.
So the next day, that evening, we met up with Bill, ended up hanging out with him and his wife. They let us stay at their house, which was awesome. Thank you guys so much for that.
May or may not had to have completely re-spool a rod.
Yeah, no joke.
Oops.
Yeah, somebody may have blown a rod completely up.
That is the first time I have done that all year.
It was a bad one. She caught it on the rod behind her and just it blew it up. So that rod had to be completely re-spooled, and
I didn't get good line for it either, because we couldn't.
We couldn't find a sporting goods store that had line. We ended up stopping at Walmart and got some spider wire, which I'm just not a big fan of.
Really
I know there are some spider wire lovers. I'm not.
I don't like it.
I don't think it casts smooth. I get a lot of kinks in the line and get more backlashes with it. So yeah, we need to buy you another spool of good line. Normally I run Suffix 832. I love that line, and she's seemed to be pretty good with that.
I really like it too.
Casts really smooth. Yeah, very much.
It really does. On that rod, which luckily it wasn't like the main one that I use. It when I did use it to switch up, I backlashed a bunch.
And I don't think it's really much cheaper than anything else. And there may be some different versions of spider wire that are okay, but the one that we get at Walmart is pretty junk. Yeah, P-line no fade braid is what I hear. Yeah, so my go-to line is Suffix 832. That's what I run on really all of my setups for braid. And I generally run braid on everything, and I'll run a fluoro leader sometimes, depending on the setup. But Suffix 832 braid is super smooth casting. Of all the lines I've used, it's been the smoothest casting I've used. And a lot of people recommend Power Pro. I won't hate on Power Pro, but I don't think it's as good as Suffix. So that's my opinion, but I've used it a ton and I really like it.
So luckily we got to relax with him that night and kind of re-spool and all that good stuff. But.
Yep. Bill's wife made us dinner. Stacy made us dinner. That was really good. So got to just kind of hang out and relax a little bit. Then the next day we got up and hit the Orono Lake and kind of made our way into the Elk River a little bit. It was a really cool lake.
It was kind of neat. It was very pretty too.
Yeah. It was a beautiful lake. It would have been one that would be cool to go back to. Yeah, for sure. It would be one that would definitely be cool to go back to. I really liked the fact that everywhere I went, there were lily pads.
Oh yeah, there was tons.
It
was a frogger's heaven.
Like we barely put in, and there were some little bitty lily pads.
We were trying to head to the river.
Yeah, if you guys watch the video, you'll see Kayla. Of course, Kayla is always like with nature out there. She always
I don't know why you
notice,
put that in there.
She's always going to notice something in nature, and I love it. That I put it in there because I love watching it happen. So we're just barely into the water, and she's like, "Look at how tiny those lily pads are. I've never seen one that small." Because you know they were like the
little lily pads,
little tiny ones, and
the ones that ours are like this big, and they're miserable. Which they had some of those too, but like I guess do they all start out that size? Because at our lake, I always just see them giant.
Yeah, when they open up, they're big. There's a bunch of different, like, I don't know what you say, breeds of lily pads.
Chris,
whatever.
You're welcome to come with us next year. I'm just saying.
So
welcome with us anytime.
Yeah, for sure, Chris. You're a lot of fun to fish with, man.
Yeah.
I do see that there are 12 watching. Make sure you guys like this video, please. So there's actually 13 watching and only 5 likes. So please like the video. That helps it whenever the video goes off air for people to keep coming back to it. So definitely appreciate that if you guys would do that. But yeah, so we started going into the lake just a little ways, and I saw some scattered grass mats before we even went around a corner, and I was like, okay, we're going to the river.
I know, we're going
to the river. I really want to fish these grass mats right now, but we're going to the river. So we passed through a little bridge, and she actually gets her first bite.
Oh, I do, yes. I was sad.
Yep, she gets her first bite under that bridge. Still not sure what it was.
Yeah.
Going back, I couldn't see it in the footage because it bit on the other side of her. It's
always on. We're going to have to move my stinking camera. We are, and I'm going to have to learn to cast around it. But it was, it hit the buzzbait. It hit it hard. If it was like it from my eyesight, which I realize when I go back and watch my footage is way different than what it actually is. It was little though. It looked little because I seen it flop out, but I don't think it was a bass. I don't know what it was because it wasn't I don't know what it was, but it was like probably about like that big, and it looked, I don't know, it looked lighter than a bass. I don't know what it was, but I lost it. I learned I really need to hook set better, so we're working on that.
So we start making our way towards the river, and it's quite a pedal to get to. We end up
a doable one.
There's like, so you go under a bridge, and then there's a pretty big open section of lake. The lake necks down, and it comes to another open section of lake, and then the lake starts necking down again, and it goes into the river. And we made it through that first section that was big, went to the neck down area. And as we were going through, I'm seeing more and more lily pads. And I'm like,
it was really
having a hard time making the trip to the river because we're going to the river
so hard
to see if the river is going to be worth fishing. Because ultimately, we don't know at this point whether the Mississippi is going to be fishable because we're hearing stories that it may be still up pretty high from some of the other anglers that are fishing. So we're going to this river thinking, hey, it may be fishable. And then we've got a river and a lake kind of all in the same area that we can fish. So we start making our way there, and we finally hit a spot where there are just lily pads everywhere. She stops and starts casting before I even do. And all of a sudden,
we're just going along for so long. Okay.
We're just going along, and all of a sudden I hear her say, I've got one. So I'm like, well, I guess it's time to start casting. So, I was like, all right, we have got to throw some lines out. Yeah. She ended up not landing that fish.
No, I didn't.
And it was a pike. So I think that's what you ended up
saying. So the first couple swipes were definitely pike. I couldn't see all of them, but Because when pike hit, like their whole body flies out of the water,
Yeah.
and it looks snaky-like, which is kind of creepy. But
Yeah.
it flies out of the water, and they do their fancy flips because when they go for it, they go for it. So I seen those first ones, and
even if they miss horribly,
yeah, they just
go for it so hard, and they come back. That was what I found so cool. Was
oh yeah,
I mean, you could throw on a grass mat, like you guys know. Normally, if you throw on a grass mat and you get a fish to come to a frog, if they come up and just kind of mouth the frog or like don't do a full-on strike, you can normally get that fish to come back and strike again. If you throw on top of there and that fish jumps out of the water, most of the time a bass is not going to strike again. They jump out of the water, and then I think they just get out of there because, you know, whatever it is kind of scared them or whatever. I like I said about that pike, maybe they just get embarrassed by missing so horribly. I don't know what it is. But pike, man, you throw on top of there and they explode and miss, and you twitch and they explode and miss again. And then you reel in and cast right back to that same spot, and they will go after it again.
Kind of crazy.
Which, I mean, it was miss after miss after miss.
Oh yeah, I never landed one that day, but yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch them.
Yeah, she did not land. She did not land a pike on the front.
I was so excited.
She did land a good bass.
It was going to be great shots. I was so excited because the video is out, so I can say all of this, but like. I was so excited because you're going to see all the little flips that they were doing. I just knew it was a perfect angle for that. And then I catch the bass and I look back to hit the highlight button and I realized it's not blinking. And I was like, are you kidding me? So my camera had overheated and because it's pretty hot. And,
yeah, it was very hot.
The sun was beating right down on us. And I forgot to turn it back on when I started fishing because I got a little too excited. So that didn't make it. But I did catch one. I have a picture to prove it. So
yeah. I tried to give her a hard time. I said, well, no footage. I guess you didn't actually catch a fish, you know, like we always do. We always give each other a hard time. But yeah, so I gave her a hard time about it. And then she was like, well, I took a picture and I took a video. So I was like, okay, I guess you do have proof that it happened. But at first we could not get them to bite. As soon as she turned her camera on, the bite shut off.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get them to bite. She couldn't get them to bite. And I was like, they must be camera shy. And then just a few casts later, I had the first pike hit. And I'd made a cast and was working it right on a lily pad mat that was kind of sparse lily pads and had a bunch of duckweed throughout it, or at least what I would call duckweed. I can't say for sure because I've not really fished duckweed any, but what looks like duckweed to me. And so I was working the frog through that, and I hit a spot that kind of opened up, and I started reeling fast. And the moment I started reeling fast, this pike comes up and just smashes the frog. I set the hook into it, and as soon as I set the hook into it, I know I don't have a bass. It's a pike. So I start reeling it in and get it landed and lose it in the boat a couple times because those things are so slimy, and they just flop and flop and flop. But landed it, and it had the frog just in the tip of its mouth. So the hooks were set in really good, but the frog was hanging out and it had its teeth right on top of the frog. And this is the frog that I'm throwing, guys. It's a B2 from Tactical Fishing Company. And this is the pink color. And as you guys can see, like this frog was in multiple pike's mouth. I did land 2 and then had a few others that actually bit it. And you cannot see any visible damage on this frog. The only way you can see anything is if I pinch it. You can see some little punctures. This frog still floats, and we brought it home. And just the other day, actually, the shirt that I'm wearing, this is a new shirt from Allure Fishing Apparel. So we brought it home the other day, and I wanted to try to catch a frogfish when we went to take pictures for these shirts, and landed a frog on this. Had a few other blow-ups, but landed a frog on this.
A fish.
A fish on this frog. And yeah, it still floats. I mean, I could throw it on the water and it'll just sit on the water. So these frogs are made for teeth. Yep. So he made them for fishing for snakehead.
Yep.
And
so if you're in the area with anything with teeth, it's they're worth it anyway.
So
especially then.
Yeah, and they're better priced than a lot of other frogs on the market. And yeah, so if a fish hits that frog with teeth, don't worry about losing your frog. Now, obviously, if it cuts your line, you've cut your line and lost your frog.
It's a little bit different.
But if you can keep that frog where the teeth aren't hitting the line, and you keep that frog pinned in that fish's mouth, teeth aren't going to affect it. I feel like I could have caught 10 more pike on it that same day, and not had any real issues. And they are super aggressive, like I said, with their hits. Like Kayla mentioned, they would blow up completely out of the water. We had multiple times where they would jump.
Trevor said,
and I got one really good one of it jumping and flipping in the air.
Trevor said they're like full on torpedoes, and I would agree with that. They're crazy.
That is for sure.
We don't have anything like that near us. So
yeah, it was
kind of cool.
It was a lot of fun catching them. I definitely was super excited to actually get to catch pike because that was one of my goals going there. And I like catching multi-species. Number one, we were going there to catch bass. That was what the tournament was based on. So we were going there to catch bass. But I like catching multi-species. So landing a couple walleye and then landing some pike, yeah, that was fun.
That's fun.
So the rest, I'm still in the process of actually editing video for the next few days. So we ended up fishing 5 straight days, guys, which, okay, 5 days of fishing is so much fun. So don't let me get don't get me wrong in what I'm about to say. 5 days of fishing is so much fun. I had an absolute blast fishing for 5 days. But 5 days of fishing, unloading kayaks, getting all your gear in the kayak, then at the end of the day, loading the kayak back up, getting all your gear back in your truck. It is a ton on your body. Not to count, we did of those 5 days, really we hit a river every single day, whether it was the main river or not. We did hit a river every single day. The Elk River, we actually pedaled against the river the whole way upriver. We probably did a mile or so upriver and then came back down. So yeah. Too much of a good thing is a thing. Yeah, it was so much fun.
It's mainly the loading
but
up.
It exhausted us.
It's mainly the loading up.
We got to the end of day 1 and we loaded up the kayaks and I looked at her and I said, "Are you ready to do this 4 more times?" At the end of day 2, I looked at her and I said, "Are you ready to do this 3 more times?" And I continued that throughout the rest of our trip. And then at the last one, as we loaded up, I was like, "Hey, we don't have to do this anymore." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't want to." So it was one of those things. I definitely was glad to give it a break. I see Teresa said, "Now I want to buy Suffolk's fishing line. I spend money every live you guys do." So we always talk about what gear we love to use. And again, Suffolk's line, I get absolutely nothing from them, but their line has been great. The 832. Now I've heard things about their what is it, like 4-strand braid or whatever they have, not being as smooth, but that 832 is very smooth. It holds up really well. I have heard that, like the pound test that it gives is a little bit inaccurate. Like if it says 10-pound test, it's probably more like 12-pound test. Yeah. And I run that on my BFS rod. I run it on our spinning rods, and I run it on all the way up to our frog rods. So I've got anywhere from their 8-pound test all the way up to their 50, and I might even have some 60-pound tests. And yeah, I've been super pleased with that. Every increment has still casted super smooth.
And they're on there talking about that's why they like their boats and their motors. But I'm telling you right now, it wasn't the paddling that was tiring. It was the loading and unloading, which you still have to do the boat.
Yes.
By the way. So
yeah, the only nice thing about a boat is you don't have to unload everything out of it. At the end of the day, you just pull your boat up on there and strap it onto the trailer.
You have to take some things out of it.
Not necessarily, but for us, we are taking our gear out. I know a lot of people that leave their boats fully loaded. Yeah, so for us, we have to take all of our gear out, and all of our rods, all of our tackle, and everything. So that's a lot of work, but man, it's so worth it.
It was worth it.
I would not trade my kayak I would trade my kayak for 5 boats and then sell the 5 boats and buy a better kayak. That's just my opinion. I think I would probably buy a couple kayaks because I'd probably get that Flux Jet that just came out at iCast. That looks pretty stinking sweet. A jet-powered kayak.
That is really cool. It's very interesting.
It would be great for the grass that we fish. Yeah. It would be great for fishing a river where you don't have a motor that's hanging down. But nonetheless...
That would be
that'd be something.
Pulled our interest.
Yeah,
have to keep our eye on it.
That's a kayak I want to see more of. Of course, there's a few others that I would like to look into more, but that's a kayak I would like to see more of. So hoping to see somebody that's a local dealer pick that one up, because it'd be one to be
It's
really
cool
cool
to see
in person.
if it works as good as what it says, that would be the ideal motor for us, I think. I feel like.
Yep. So yeah, that it would be so good for creeks and rivers and stuff, especially. But even our super thick grass, I mean, you would be able to run the motor in the grass. The owner was actually talking about the guy who was at ICAST was talking about driving it up on some really heavy grass mats and then getting through the grass mat and then just chucking it in reverse, and everything that it had in it, it just blew straight out. And then he motored on like it was nothing. So, and the fact that you can just put a battery in there of multiple different increments, and it goes ahead and sends it's already pre-wired. So it's got all the wiring done for it. It's got your light wiring. It's got your wiring for everything you need. You put whatever size battery you want in there, and it will scale up or down depending on the battery that you've got in there.
Kind of neat.
So yeah, it's really cool. And that, I guess, will kind of run in on something that we did talk about. So when we started fishing the river, so the next day we hit the Mississippi River, and it was so much fun. We did a 13-mile float on that third day.
Yep.
And
which was still practice day.
Yes, it was practice day still. Did a 13-mile float on the river. It was a really cool river. There were some spots that were flowing really good, but there's so many boulders. It was neat and a little bit scary, because you'd be going through a spot and you wouldn't even notice, like you could see a boulder just barely under the surface. So it'd be easy to catch one sideways, but where we were wasn't bad by any means. They were fairly easy to avoid. I can't say they were the easiest to avoid, because we both ended up smacking some over the next couple days.
When you're fishing, like, and you're not completely paying attention to what's in front of you. Nothing horrible though.
Yeah. So we did 13 miles that next day. It was a long float. I think we ended up doing 13 miles in 7 hours. So,
and I caught the first fish.
Kayla caught the first fish, and I think the first several fish. She ended up landing a few in a row. Yeah. Pretty quick on. Missed a few, landed a few. And for me, I think we were in the last probably 4 to 5 miles before I landed my first one. I don't know. It took me quite a while to actually hook into one. I didn't even get any bites for quite a while. But I was still getting the hang of what I was throwing. Chris knows I love throwing my crankbaits, and that river has so much grass in it. Almost every time I was throwing a crankbait, I was snagging up in the grass. Yeah. I finally hit a spot where I could work the crankbait a little while. I could feel it hitting the rocks, and I was like, this is where I'm going to start excelling. And I did get a couple bites, but didn't land any through that. Yeah, and then I kind of switched up some techniques, and she started catching them on a Ned rig. So I decided to tie on a Ned rig. It wasn't very many casts later, and started catching more and more fish on them.
Definitely challenge Chase to get away from the crankbait a little bit, because you all know that's like, you ask him what he caught something on, he's gonna be like, crankbait.
Yeah,
so it challenged him a little bit, because there was very few areas where it really worked. Would have worked there.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get that that change of pace of switching to a Ned rig, switching to some other lures, and once I got it down, I started catching some fish. So like I said, I didn't catch fish until later in the day that day. And that was the end of our pre-fishing. So we fished through that section of river, landed a few fish.
The only one that I absolutely have to talk about is the one that got away. Yeah. I have to talk about that.
Yeah. And some of you guys will have seen
it's on a short already.
On YouTube or on Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, it's on all this. The one that got away. So I'm learning the Ned rig, and the bite feels different than what it does like on the wacky rig and stuff like that, and which I've gotten pretty used to. And so I feel it, and I realize I've been watching the videos and realize I'm not setting the hook at all like I'm supposed to. But I was also really shocked that I actually got a fish on this one. I was in the middle of telling a story, and I feel it hit, and it hits pretty stinking hard, honestly. And my rod, it's just bent over. And I'm reeling this in, and it's taken a while, which these fish fight hard down there anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, this is different. Like, this is a good fish. And it comes up beside my boat, and I see it just kind of glide around, and I was like, oh, that's so pretty. Like, it's massive, it's huge. Then it goes in front of my boat, and it does a flip, which you can hear. You can force. I was hoping you could see it, but you can't.
It was right. It was just on the other side of her.
Stinking. I don't even know if you could see it on the camera, but it does a flip. So I see it again,
and I see it at that point.
Yeah, it was a big fish.
Because she's kind of angled towards me, and I'm on her left side, which is the side that the camera's on. And when it comes around to the front of the kayak and jumps, I was like, I'm not going to say anything, but that's a big one.
It was a big one. And it ended up coming back and went under my boat, and I, just flopped right off. And I swear, guys, it was probably my 20-inch fish.
Yeah.
It was definitely a big one. It was definitely at least 18 or bigger. It was a beautiful fish, and seeing it and having it that close, and then it just flopping off. Had to take a minute there.
So that's Kayla's thing too, and I
only caught a couple.
It's
treats.
A beautiful fish. She likes to say that.
Fish.
I know, and I like it. I enjoy it. She's like, look at it's so beautiful.
Well, I'm not gonna be. I don't know. I feel weird being like, well, that's a tank.
Yeah,
like, that's just such a man thing to say.
So so I enjoy that too.
I try to
go through
say
and
that.
Start editing. She's like, it's a beautiful fish.
Well, I try saying those other things. You know, the other thing that I always feel really weird saying that all the anglers say to each other is tight lines. I don't know why, but I don't like saying that. I don't know. It just sounds weird when I say it. So, I don't know. Just one of those things.
And then Chris asked if there were any sycamore trees. So we both snagged up in some trees here and there. I lost a lure on day 2 in a tree, and that's the only one I can remember losing in a tree. Then I cast a couple lures that went about 1,000,000 miles when they backlashed and took off flying. So I lost a few lures, but only one was actually snagged in a tree, and I think she snagged a couple times in a tree.
I can only remember getting badly snagged 3 times. Yeah. Because I got the bush, I got the one I lost my nether again, and then that one that honestly just kind of made me mad because it was maybe it wasn't on tournament day, but I think it was. But it was like a tree with a flowing current, and I'm trying to paddle up the current and get my thing off, and that was the day before the tournament. I am working on the arch for sure, and I still have it. But man, for the most part, I'm taking care of it. But occasionally when I'm trying to cast extra hard, I still somehow swing it up and have a little bit of arch, but definitely getting better.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a lot easier to do with a spinning rod, casting and putting that arch up and down.
Yeah, spinning rods I still suck at, honestly.
Yeah, they take more time to get used to once you get used to bait caster. I know my dad's probably, if he's still on, he's going to comment here because he cannot throw a bait caster. But for us, the spinning rod is a whole lot harder to cast than what a bait caster is.
And what's amazing is even with the arch, I'm pretty accurate about where I want to cast, except for when the wind catches it and lands it in a tree. So.
Yes.
But I'm still working on it because that's just one of the biggest things we learned from that was everyone was like just accurate cast, landing it right on top of them. What was right on there. Hi, Sam. I've already talked to your mom. We're going to take you fishing soon.
That's not that Sam.
Oh, it's not that Sam?
No.
Oh, I thought it was that Sam.
No.
Is that Sam?
So
your cousin?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
sorry, Sam. I'll take you fishing too, though, if you want to go.
So the end of that day, we actually went to a dinner at Drew's Airbnb. Mm-hmm. So they had the Airbnb,
the welcome dinner,
and they had a little welcome dinner for anyone that was here early. So we went there. They had a awesome Airbnb with tons and tons of parking,
so massive,
tons and tons of parking. So it was really cool being there. And so we went to visit them. Got to meet some of the guys. It was cool. We got to meet Marty Hughes. For any of you guys that are fishermen, especially kayak fishermen, check out Marty Hughes or Kayak Jack, Kyak. Jack, man, he is such an awesome guy. I've been following him for a while. I did not recognize him when he was there, and he started talking to us and started talking about a tournament that he's doing. In the last few years, he's done it. So his tournament is 2025 fish in 2025, 2025 bass in 2025. So his goal is to land a bass for that many bass for the year. So in 2024, he landed over 2024 bass. He's working on 2025 right now. I think I just seen an Instagram post that he's up over 1,300.
Yeah.
So he is
Well, on his
over
way.
halfway there. But yeah, check him out. He is an awesome guy. It was so cool to meet him, and we talked to him for probably 2 straight hours.
Yeah.
Like it was a blast.
It was really cool.
Got to see Josh Shrenko there, who is awesome. One of the
He's just
sponsors of this
super-
event.
All those guys are like super cool, and I know they're just
Yeah.
all normal people. But
Eric Tracy, Tyler Atwell, Andy Knott,
Justin.
Cole Lawrence,
Justin,
Cavett, Merlin
yes.
Hammer, all those guys. So we had it was kind of cool. We kind of had a room that was all Indiana folks.
it was insane.
And then Marty ended up joining, but like even Drew came in there and said, "Am I even welcome in here, or is this Indiana only?" And they like shut us in. So we kind of had a room just hanging out with all the other Indiana guys. And then Bill was in there also, which he's lived in Indiana as well. So it kind of worked out. There were a lot of us in there, and we were just kind of chatting it up and had a great time. Josh Shrenko is the Smalley King, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Achigan again helped sponsor that event. So Achigan is the brand for smallmouth bass. So Teresa, I hate to tell you to look for something else to buy, but if you like smallies, there's a brand called Achigan.
Yes.
And it's literally apparel that's just based on smallmouth bass.
They're
And
cool. I feel
it's a
like
lot
I
of
can
cool
officially
stuff.
wear one of their shirts now.
Yes.
The first time we seen them, I thought their shirts were really cool, but I was like, I've never caught a smallmouth in my life, so I feel like an imposter. But I think I'll definitely have to buy one.
So smallmouth shirts, they have the coolest stickers, like some
they
of the
really
coolest stickers I've ever seen. And I kind of like stickers. My Blackpak has a lot of stickers on them, and the stickers that they have are just amazing. And when you buy gear from them, shirts and stuff, you always get stickers with it. If you see them in a show, you get, man, I came home with so many stickers when we met him at East Tennessee fishing show. Yeah, so it was cool hanging out with him.
The coolest part with him is he's still so down to earth about his product and still so surprised that so many people wear it.
Yeah.
He is not a big business.
Oh, yeah.
He still he still has a full-time job, but he loves putting his shirts out there. And I kind of get that. So like to see that he's that far in and know how many people love his stuff, and to see him that down to earth is really cool. He's just really cool dude.
Yeah, he was like when we were there at one of the what was the Bass U brunch, he actually taught one of the sessions of the Bass U brunch. And he was like looking out and seeing the number of people wearing Smalley's hats and seeing some of like the OG Smalley hats out there. He's like, you guys don't know what this means to me. He's like, this is so special because it's a project that's 100% near and dear to his heart. So it's really cool. Again, Josh is just an awesome guy.
Yep.
I mean, he's just really an awesome guy.
It was a really cool room to be in. The only thing that I didn't like is I was the only female in that room.
Yeah.
And that was, I know that sounds so goofy, but if you're coming because y'all are men, most of y'all are men. She's got my back. She's watching too. But walking into a house full of men was slightly intimidating, but they were also kind, and that went away really fast. But at first I was like, I told myself I was good until we got there and we actually walked in, and I was like, oh, this is a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But they were all super nice, made me feel super welcome. So it didn't last long.
Again, had a great group of Indiana folks there. So that made it really good. Had a really good time chatting with them. There were some other guys that were at the dinner, some that I follow on Instagram that I never got a chance to meet, like the Veteran Angler and some of those other guys. So it was.
Oh, got to meet the Riverman too. I think that was cool for me because I liked his videos. I have a very certain learning styles. I don't know. I feel like it's different than and his videos are really cool.
Yeah. So it was cool meeting some of the guys that I hadn't met, like Justin Cavett. So for you guys that know me, know that I love throwing the BFS rod, the Yak Rod's BFS rod. Justin Cavett, also known as the Philosophical Angler on Facebook. I think he's the Philosophical Angler on Instagram also.
Yeah.
Give him a follow there, but he actually helped design that rod. So my favorite rod to throw most of the time. And I'll say that prefacing, I really don't remember if I caught any fish besides those walleye on it the entire trip.
Mm.
I know I had a couple bites, but I don't know that I landed another fish on it because I ended up throwing my heavier gear most of the time. So yeah, we had that welcome dinner. It was a great time. We talked for hours. Then we headed back to rest up for the night. We headed to the Airbnb to rest up for the night, got some rest that night. And the next day we got up for the Bass U brunch. And again, Josh Shrenko put that on.
Yeah, he did.
He put on one of the sessions. It was really good.
Yeah.
He gave some great juice, and he was a competitor in the tournament, and he still gave a lot of the juice. They had some awesome video of him during pre-fishing time on in the background. Some, if you guys have followed Josh at all, you know he's kind of goofball too, which is part of what makes him so fun. So some funny stuff in the videos too, but we had a blast watching it. Everyone got to poke fun at him. Some lost fish. He lost a really good one in the video, and they had it on the drone footage. So that was really cool. And then landed some pretty stinking good fish on drone footage as well. So it was really cool watching that.
I always wanted drone
his
when
excitement.
I watched that.
Yeah.
Because that footage is super cool.
That'll be coming at some point.
At some point. One of these days.
Getting the drone and then getting the licensing for it. That's the big thing. I got to work on getting the licensing for it. But yeah, that'll be something that will be coming because I would love to get some drone footage
really cool
of us
footage.
landing some fish. So yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, so got to go through that session with Josh. That was really cool. And then we went from there. And what did we do leading up to the tournament? Just go back and
we just got ready.
Get a little bit of
picked up some more fishing stuff.
Yeah. We ended up making multiple trips.
We did.
We made multiple trips. She broke off some Ned rigs
really fast.
So we bought a couple extra Ned rigs just so we would have them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a couple other random things.
We hit like 3 or 4 trips to Shields, something like that. So bought a bunch of little random
because there was a Shields close to the Airbnb.
So yeah, then from there we went on to day 1 of the tournament, and it was a 5-hour session from 3 to 8 o'clock. So we hit the water, fished a 5-mile section of the river, and it was 5 miles of what we had fished the day before, and we both caught fish, not only bass, unfortunately, and neither one of us ended day 1 with a limit.
No, that was tough because our whole goal was, even if it was a small limit, get a limit, and we thought we could do it for sure. Like we didn't have any doubts that we would be able to land a limit that night, and it just was.
We both fell short. So I'm not going to give all the details because this is going to be I think I'm going to do the tournament in 1-part video. Now I'm still going through the footage, so I may end up having to extend it, but I think I'm going to do the tournament in a 1-part video, and it should be a really good video. So I don't want to give a lot of the details away because there was some tough times, some really tough hours for both of us. We both had some struggles. Both had some frustrations.
Tournament fishing will get you mentally because you go in and you feel really good about it, and then you don't get a bite for a couple hours. Then you get kind of frustrated, and you have to snap yourself back out of it and get your head focused again.
And
back in the game.
When your head is not in it, that's when you make more and more mistakes.
Yeah, because you're fishing faster, you're fishing. I don't know, just not as focused.
Which I'll say I made a pretty big mistake day 1 of the tournament, and we were probably a little over halfway through the 5-mile stretch, and our friend Bill and his wife Stacy were all on one side, and I was on the other side of the river. There was a spot that forked, and at the fork there were a couple trees. There was a guy camping. He hollered down at me, and I talked to him for just a second. When I was talking to him, I was pushing closer to that tree. Well, it was an area that the current was pushing super hard. And I made a cast, tried to work my Ned rig where it would go kind of up under that tree, but I shouldn't have made that cast. I was already too close to the tree, and the river swept me into it. I hit the tree. The tree was partially in the water, partially out, and I just went straight into all the branches of the tree. So I didn't hit the trunk of it. I went straight into all the branches. When I went into it, I still had my rods in my rod holder on my Blackpak, and hit a point. Hit that point where my rods all caught in the Blackpak on the tree, which spun me, and all the weight of the water pushing against me, me kind of crashing into the tree, and my rods catching at the same time. it was trying to roll me. So at that point, I was kind of in a little bit of trouble. Now, you guys know I always have my PFD on. In the tournaments, they're required anyway, so I would have had to wear it even if I didn't normally wear it. But I always have my PFD on. So I knew I was going to be okay. But even when you know that you'll be okay, when you see, I mean, thousands of dollars of gear right behind you snagging up, and like that could go to the bottom of the river. I actually lost my net in this. My net got sucked up under the tree.
Brand new net.
And yeah, brand new net. We just spent like $50 on this net. My net got sucked up into the tree. Lost that. My paddle fell off of my kayak. So I think having a paddle leash is probably a good idea for a river, even if you don't have it on the lakes.
I would agree.
It's probably a good idea to have for a river, and it's probably something that we'll both add, because my paddle actually fell off of the kayak the same time that my net fell, and that was kind of what prevented me from being able to avoid that tree at all. Like I went straight to the middle of it. Thankfully, the rods I have, I run yak rods, and they can take a beating, because my rods were all my rods were in the black. 3 of my rods were in the Blackpak. They were bent over really bad. One of them was my BFS rod. Even it was actually the first rod in the lineup that was actually being held up on that tree. They were all bent over really bad, and they were bent back far enough that it actually had my Blackpak even strapped down. It had my Blackpak raised up from the kayak probably about 8 to 10 inches. Had the bungee strap all lifted up and everything. And I turned around, I calmed myself down, I grabbed a hold of one of the limbs and kind of pulled myself back just enough that it would free up a little bit of the leverage on my rods. I grabbed out one rod and put it down in front of me. I grabbed out a second rod, put it down in front of me, grabbed out my third rod and put it down in front of me. My other 2 rods were actually already laying down, so I only had 5 rods with me. The other 2 were already laying down, but those 3 were all in the Blackpak. So I got those all out of there, unsnagged the Blackpak because it was snagged in the limbs also, and then used my paddle to kind of push me back straight and out of that tree so I could get around it and keep on going. But it was scary. They were across the river and really had absolutely no clue that I was kind of in trouble there. But in the area I don't think calling them for help would have done any good other than just get them in the middle of the same tree that I was stuck up in. So it was a little scary. And then I forgot I even lost my net, because when I got out of that, I was just so thankful that, hey, I just got out of that. I didn't lose any of my gear. I didn't get hurt. I'm okay. My gear's okay. Everything's good. I was probably another mile down the river and it just hit me like, I don't have a net anymore. And we're catching smallies that fight crazy hard.
These are smallies on steroids.
I could have taken a smallie, like my 16-inch smallie that I caught in Tennessee was a good fighting fish, but the 12-inchers that I caught in Minnesota fought harder. I mean, it's
fat.
Absolutely insane, the size of these fish compared to the ones that I've caught anywhere else in Tennessee, in Missouri. I mean, they are just so much bigger and fight so much harder. I mean, I had a 12-inch fish take my rod and bend it at the boat and run under the boat and pull drag on a medium heavy rod. So I'm not talking about, me throwing the BFS rod and it doing that. I'm talking about a medium heavy rod that's a pretty stiff medium heavy, and it bent the rod at the boat and ran under the boat and pulled drag. Like it's pretty insane crazy how hard these fish fight. So at that point, I kind of got frustrated. Not that I wasn't already, because up to that point, I still hadn't landed a fish. But I kind of got frustrated and got in my head a little and started kind of spiraling downhill. And luckily ended up landing a fish a little bit later, and it kind of pulled me out of it. And then I told myself, like, ultimately, even if I fail at this tournament, this has been such an amazing trip. And I pulled myself out of it, and I kept a pretty good attitude throughout the rest of it. Now, there were still times that we went stretches without fish, and it was hard not to get some frustration, but I did pretty good at maintaining a level head throughout the most of it.
Yeah, it was fun. It stormed on us too.
Yeah,
Friday night,
yeah, we were not very far in. Maybe
we had to
probably not even a mile yet.
We had to dock, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. Like there wasn't really anything to dock on, but we found a little bitty grass patch, like a little bitty one.
Yeah.
We both were standing
I'm hoping that I got some of the lightning, because we saw some pretty wild lightning strikes.
The
while we
lightning
were
didn't
sitting
last long.
kind of in the water. But yeah, it started storming on us barely into that trip, so we had to stop, and it slowed us down quite a bit. So we were thinking, you know, we can make it 1 mile in 1 hour and be able to really kind of take our time going down it and fish it the whole way. And we ended up spending almost an hour stopped. So that kind of cut our time out a little bit.
And then we, you know, because we don't know that river at all, we're not really sure exactly how far we are. And I wish at one point, because I thought we were farther away than we were, that I would have slowed down in a specific area. And I didn't, because I thought we needed to hurry. So learning to read we have a whole list of things that we definitely want to do. For me, definitely learning to, I don't know, be able to pull it up on a map and kind of judge. Something I definitely want to work on, so that I can take my time more next time, because there was one area where I caught the one that you've seen on there, that you posted a reel if you haven't seen it yet, where I caught my PB smallie. And I really wish that I would have went back up there and fished it more, but I was thinking we needed to keep moving. So, which is also another reason why we really want a certain thing for Christmas.
Yes, and I wanted to get into that too. So then it goes into, we get home that night. Okay, going home that night was an adventure too. We start driving home.
I wasn't going to tell on you.
And I'm starving. Number one, I'm starving. Like I've got to have some kind of food, and she's hungry too. So I'm like, I don't know. Let's just figure out something to go through on the way home. We'll go through a drive-through. So she starts looking at different places to go, and she mentions, "Hey, how's it going, Real Backwaters? Good to see you, man." She mentions Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, okay, let's go to Chick-fil-A. That sounds good to me. She doesn't really want it, but she's like, okay, we'll go to Chick-fil-A. So we start driving for Chick-fil-A and pull around the corner.
Fish, so I had to let him.
And as we pull around this corner, stay away from the gas station burritos.
We did.
No, definitely didn't do that. So we pull around this corner and pull into what should be Chick-fil-A, and it's a college.
So I guess
they have a Chick-fil-A in the college, but like you can't get into it. Yeah. It's late at night. The college is like locked down. You can't get into it. So we're we're in like a little parking lot area, and there are some signs that say like
10-minute parking,
who can park there and stuff like that. And the signs are spread out far enough that I can drive in between them and get to the road that's on the other side of them.
Well, I don't know if you should be doing that.
So I'm like, well, I'm not going to go all the way around to get to this road and like come out. First off, it's a tight parking area. I've got to back the trailer up. My truck does not turn on a dime. It's got wide tires. So I'm like, I'm just going to pull right through this area and start driving down this other road, and it'll lead me to a road that I can get out of here.
Yeah.
And I start driving down this road and turn a corner, and I'm like driving into a campus building.
Yeah.
I'm on the campus driving on their sidewalks.
It was their sidewalk.
It's late at night. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing right now. And I'm driving on the college campus into their like buildings. So I'm like, oh boy. So I start backing up, and I have to do like this big turn and everything with the trailer, and I'm driving out of there, and I'm like, oh God. I said, campus police are probably like looking for me right now. And my truck it's a big old camo. It's a big truck. It's lifted. It sits up really high. I got the kayaks on the back. Has camo wrapped around the bottom. So they're probably like, oh no, it's a bad guy here at our college, you know. I'm like, we got to get out of here, and we got to get out of here fast. So we pull out of there, and I'm just waiting on seeing some flashing lights behind me. You know, somebody's gonna come stop us. There's probably video of my truck at that college. They've probably got cameras somewhere. They've probably got cameras somewhere. Like, who is this? Yeah, they've got it posted everywhere on the college campus on bulletin boards. Who is this that was driving around on the campus? So, yeah, we get out of there, and she finds Culver's. Yeah. Like, we'll go to Culver's. So I map to Culver's, and I go from Culver's. I have it mapped from Culver's to our Airbnb, because I don't have my any clue of getting around here. So I mapped from Culver's to the Airbnb, and it takes me to the Airbnb first.
It does.
I'm frustrated at this point.
I was like, we'll just
I was
go to
already
bed.
frustrated. I'm really frustrated at this point. She's like, we'll just go to bed. I'm like, I'm going to eat something. I'm going to eat something.
He doesn't
So-
get grumpy.
So we drive on to Culver's and get food and then come back and like
Ultimately,
Bill and his
Culver's,
wife are like,
are y'all okay?
are you guys okay? Like you guys have been gone for a real long time and still haven't made it back. And I'm like, yeah, we grabbed food. What would you do for a Klondike bar? I guess
do a
drive
lot
around
for
on
a Chick-fil-A.
college campus. Yeah, I definitely, I definitely needed to get some food in my belly. So yeah, they did have walleye sandwiches there. You aren't wrong.
That's funny.
So
I wanted Culver's anyways. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
so
that's what she
super
wanted,
sad.
so she wasn't upset.
I
They were
wanted a
slow,
burger
too.
and
It took a
shake.
while. It
It's
took a
'cause
while
it-
to get our
it's 'cause it's
food.
fresh.
It was fresh. It was good. There was nothing wrong with it. Their shakes are tiny.
I wanted my. It was tiny.
I like
was
a big
disappointed.
shake, and their shakes are tiny. It's like if I'm getting ice cream, I want the biggest size you can get in ice cream.
Like I'm
I can
talking
have-
to Route 66.
I could eat a
not
I could
really,
eat
but,
I could
you
eat
know,
a
big
small fry, but a large ice cream. You just give me the half-gallon ice cream, and I'll figure out a way to eat it.
Yeah.
So
Not that you guys tuned in for the food, but it was just funny.
So,
Funny part.
so that was our night. We ended up getting back to the Airbnb at like 11 o'clock at night. Well, guess what time we've got to be on the water in the morning? It was 5:45 was
5:45 was long. No,
5:45
was
lines in. So we could be on the water at 5:30, 5:45 lines in. And luckily we were only like 10 minutes from launch from our Airbnb. So I was like, we're going to go back. We're going to get everything ready. But we had to pack everything for the Airbnb and be out of it because we weren't staying there the next night.
Yeah.
So we packed that night, got everything that we needed to get ready that night, and then got up early the next morning, got everything loaded into the truck, and drove on. And walleye comes home to the fryer. I really wanted to keep the walleye that we caught, but they said that there was the area that we were fishing in where I caught the walleye.
You were not supposed to.
You weren't supposed to keep them because they had really high mercury count. I guess they said that there were a couple power plants right there in that area. So they said that pool of the Mississippi had really dangerous mercury counts in the fish. So weren't supposed to keep any fish, which I wasn't too happy with because that one walleye was a really good one. But obviously dropped it anyway. Maybe if I was able to keep it, maybe I wouldn't have even thrown it over the side. Who knows? Nonetheless, I lost it, so I guess it didn't matter in the end. No. But so we get up early the next morning and hit the river, and we go back to the 13-mile stretch. And at this point, it's just me and Kayla going. We run into a guy from Tennessee or from Kentucky that is actually not. He doesn't live too far from us, and we run into him, talk to him a little bit, and just kind of, he ended up floating the same float we did. So we talked to him a little bit, added him on Instagram, and have talked to him a little bit here and there. But yes, it was cool. We got to meet another person, put on the river, talked to some locals that pulled into the same launch as us, talked to them a little bit. They were really nice. And, they said they'd been fishing there forever. And we ran into them a few times. Their goal, one of their goals was catching walleye. The other one, his goal was catching a muskie.
Yep.
And when we ran into them again later, one of them had landed a muskie. So they were like pretty excited about that. We did not land any muskie.
No, we did not.
We think our friend Bill may have actually had one bite. He
It
had something completely explode.
It was the biggest flash I've ever seen.
I haven't got to my footage, so my footage may show it, and hopefully his does as well. But hopefully we get to see that and see whether it was really a muskie or if it was just a giant pike. But it was something big hit his buzzbait and hit it really, really hard.
Because I wasn't even facing him, and I could
I was on her footage, and she wasn't even close to him, and I could hear the giant splash.
And so I turned and I caught the tail end of it. It was massive.
I was kind of angled towards him, so I'm hoping that my camera, because I run my camera in wide view, I'm hoping my camera picked it up, but we'll see. Cool. And he was recording too, so hopefully he got the footage also. And again, he should be posting his on the MN Yak Fishing, I think 1969 page. So here on YouTube as well. So we fished day 2, floated down the river. I got into fish literally the very beginning of the day and got into a lot of them and thought it was going to be a pretty amazing day. And then the bite just kind of died on us for a while.
Bite
And-
never started for me.
Yeah.
It was that was the day I got frustrated because I knew this stretch of river from fishing it before. I knew exactly where I wanted to fish. I knew where there weren't necessarily all areas I'd pull fish from. Some of them were just areas that I knew that if I would have stopped the day before that I felt like I could pull fish out of. And I could not get them to bite.
Yeah, it was I was in some areas that I felt really good about, and I would be like, oh yeah, here's a spot a fish should be, and I would cast to it, and bam, I would have them hit.
Now, I guess I did lose a couple there at the beginning. I think I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
But besides that, the bite never really turned on.
So yeah, it just seemed to
that morning.
The start of my day turned out really good, and I would make a cast, and I would be like, man, it looks like a fish should be there, and they were just where they should be every time. I would put my lure where I wanted to put it, and they would hit, and so it was looking really promising for me. And then I see real backwaters ask, how did we place? Are we gonna give that info, or?
And I don't see.
Ultimately, I mean, it's all public. So ultimately, no, we did not place at all. We both had decent days, but the top 10 anglers were all over 95 inches, or I think
90. It was higher than
94 and 3/4, I think, was 11th place.
To get
everything else was between 95 and 100 inches.
To get in the top 40, not like the top 30, 20, but in the top 40, you had to have 89 inches or more.
Yeah. It was unreal.
It might even have been 90 yet.
And we talked to people, so we had good days. Like we caught some fish. We had good days overall. I think that we would go back and fish a different stretch of the river if we could do it over again. But ultimately, we had good days.
Yeah.
But we talked to friends that had 100 fish days.
Yeah, they were catching them left and right, and
hey, it didn't matter where I threw it, I was catching fish,
and we were not.
So it was unreal. And I mean, I'm talking all smallies, not talking any largemouth at all.
Yes,
they were. The guy who won it, Josh Renko, who we spoke of earlier, he actually brought home the win again. Brought home the win from Indiana, brought it back to Indiana.
That's right.
So it was really cool. Josh caught 105 inches or 100.5 inches of smallmouth bass.
Yep.
Like
that's
crazy. That's an amazing day.
I would say I think the top 10 was definitely all 90 something and above.
Yeah, they were the mid 90s and up. So with first and second place being like an inch apart in that 99 to 100 range.
I think the biggest part of Saturday for us was the overload of people on that stretch of water. We picked a popular stretch. We didn't really know that, so because we're not from around there. So
Charlie said better than him and Sean did in their last tournament.
It's because you're in a boat. Oh, did I say that?
That's okay. Sean's the kayak guy.
Oh, sorry. I'll be nice to you.
Charlie's the kayak guy. Sorry. Charlie is the kayak guy. Sean is the boat guy. So yeah.
No, but we both managed to limit. We got I think we were in the 60s.
No, we were both mid 70s.
Mid 70s.
So, and we were a half inch apart.
We were.
Are we going to tell that?
Who won? Who do you think won?
Give you guys just a minute to comment. Who do you think out
by
of the
what?
two of
was
us,
it a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch?
I think it was a 1/2 inch. It may have been a 1/4. It was tight. It was tight.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up on my thing real quick.
What was the go-to? So
it was not what I expected. I'm gonna say that first off. Well,
for me,
it was somewhat not what I expected.
For me, buzzbait. The buzzbait.
Oh yeah,
buzzbait did it for me. And then the second most catching bait for me was a Ned rig, which I've never caught a fish on a Ned rig until this trip. And I've thrown some here and there, and I've gotten some bites, but I've never caught one on a Ned rig until this trip. So, Ned rig and buzzbait. And Kayla did. Kayla beat me.
I beat him. I'm trying to find this. Hold on. It's like...
She got to scroll way down. Nope.
Did I pass this?
Yeah.
Well, you said we were in the 70s. And that's the 60s.
I thought you meant inches wise.
No, I knew we had...
Yeah, so a 1/2 inch. She beat me by a 1/2 inch. And, so that was...
Sorry.
That was okay.
A little guilty.
She beat me by a ½ inch. And really she cold out. If she hadn't cold out.
And I almost didn't. I really almost didn't. I think you'll see it in the footage, but I don't know for sure because I can't remember. It was towards the end of the day. I caught a fish and it looked pretty small. And I was like, I think my smallest was like a 13 at that point, is what I thought. And it wasn't. It was a 12 and a half. And so if I wouldn't have called that fish, he would have beat me. But luckily, I was like, I'm going to measure to be safe.
Just to be safe. And then she asked me later, she was like, what's my small fish? And I was like, it's a 12 and a half. So she, at that point, knew like, oh, hey, I've got to upload this fish too. So it worked out.
But anyways, top lures. So I was thinking a crankbait too, just because I'm so used to Chase pulling them in with a crankbait. I thought that would be one. I had this cool little white glide bait that I really thought I could get them on, and I couldn't. And I also thought my whopper ploppers were going to pull in a ton because I don't know, like I love my 12 Oaks whopper ploppers, and they're all the guys that fish them. They're usually fishing for smallmouth and stuff like that. So I really thought, and I could not get a whopper plopper bite. I didn't even really try the crankbait just because it just wasn't the right area. I figured if he started catching them on crankbait, then then we could see. But it didn't. It was my buzzbait all the way, which I knew that going in. I knew my buzzbait was going to be great. I love my white buzzbait from Line Stretchers. It's great. It's completely torn up and shredded. Oh yeah. Because I caught 2 pike on it.
Pike were tearing up the skirt on it, but it's still running.
Tore one side, caught another one. And I was like, oh.
I caught some pike on the buzzbait too. I even caught a pike on the Ned rig. I was working a Ned rig, and man, it was when I didn't have a limit yet. So I'm working a Ned rig, and I feel something hit, and I'm like, pow, give it that good old hook set. I start fighting it in. I'm like, yeah, I got another bass, and then I get it up, and I see white belly, and I'm like, oh, of all things, right now I land a pike. Of all things, you know.
Yeah, buzzbait and Ned rig was literally all I caught them on in this tournament. I did not land them on a single different lure.
Yeah, I had a big goal of throwing a frog. I mean, again, I'm wearing the frog shirt tonight, guys. I had a big goal of throwing the frog and getting a smallie on the frog. And man, I threw it a decent amount. I just never had one area that I wish I would have got a chance to work more, that I think I could have got one on the frog. We hit an area that had some real good subsurface grass.
Oh yeah, I know. Sure.
I threw a buzzbait over it and ran the buzzbait across, and I had a big explosion. Which now I lost some fish on day 2.
Oh yeah.
So I lost some fish that would have been upgrades without a doubt. But Josh said, don't even talk about the fish he lost because everyone's going to lose fish.
Oh yeah.
that was his big thing. He said, everyone's going to come back and be like, I lost a giant. And yeah, everybody lost fish because these fish fight so hard. Right. But I had a big fish blow up, running the buzzbait on top of this subsurface grass. As soon as I seen the subsurface grass, I was like, oh, this looks good. The river was flowing slowly through this section. And I was like, yeah, this looks good. The buzzbait was just ticking that grass as it was coming through. And I had a big blow up on it. And I missed the bite. Or it may have missed. I don't know. It may have been a pike. I can't say for sure. I've got to go back and see that footage. But if I had seen that area before I blew up on it, I think I could have worked the frog on that area for a little bit more and potentially pulled one out of there with frog. Yeah. But that was really my only good area to throw a frog. And I threw it in several areas. I would throw it on bank lines. If I seen any kind of a mat at all, I would throw it in there. I would throw it on bank lines that looked decent and throw my popping frog, and I would give it some pops here and there. But I never triggered a single bite on the river with the frog.
No, I don't do good with the popping frog yet. So I didn't ever really, I think I threw it in like one area because I was like, well, just maybe dig anything. Which that wasn't in the tournament. During the tournament, literally only the Nagrid and the buzzbait, which I love the buzzbait. One of the biggest reasons I love it is because it's top water, but then I also love it because it's a whole lot easier to unhook most of the time, unless you're me and can manage to do all kinds of crazy things. Yeah. But I was kind of surprised that I didn't get bites on different things. I had a fun time unhooking I didn't get a picture with my personal best fish because somehow it got hooked really good with the buzzbait. Like it was like it was hooked good. And somehow, because I still had the net in the floor, it managed to get tangled and grab the net, and it literally pulled the net into the fish's mouth, like inside of it, with the hook still inside of the mouth too. And then it wouldn't come out either way. And so I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to get it out between the middle of the mouth. And it just it took me so long, and I didn't want to kill this beautiful fish. And so as soon as I did get it unhooked and got it measured really fast, I threw it back in the water. So that was kind of sad because it was a really nice fish. But
I honestly didn't take any pictures with fish.
Yeah, he didn't.
And I wish I would have taken more pictures. And I mean, we took some pictures, but I wish we would have both taken more pictures of the award ceremony, of all the stuff that we done over that week. But we were just really taking it in ourselves. And like I said, I didn't take a single picture.
It's a lot to focus on too, all of it. We don't have a very good fishable river up here. He's been on the river a few times, more than me. I've only been on it, I don't know, by the end of the tournament, probably 5 times. I don't know. Yeah. I'd have to go back and add it up, but definitely not more than that.
Yeah.
I think 5 exactly now. But anyways, like not having that experience and stuff and not knowing the rivers there definitely played into that, because like he said, some of those guys were having 100 fish days, and we were having like 3 fish, not really, but like we both landed a limit, but like we weren't getting the numbers that they were. And so we would love to go back up there and fish.
Our friend Justin said that he caught 50 in the 5 hours that they fished.
Yeah.
On day 1, he caught 50 fish. So I mean, we did not see those numbers. So we would have definitely probably done better if we had went up the river a little bit. A lot of the people that we talked to that did really good did go up the river. Now I can't say that everyone who was in our section. There were only 2 other fishermen in our section. One of them struggled, but one of them ended in the top 11. Ryan Parker. So Ryan Parker ended in the top 11. Now he actually fished the opposite of us. Yep. He started at the place where we took out, and he fished up to the place where we put in, which of course he had a motor, and motored up there and fished through that entire section. And he did good. I think his team won the team division, didn't it? I think the Creek Crawlers, didn't they win the team division?
The guy with the mustache?
Yeah. So he had the purple kayak. So his team won the team division, and then he was in the top 11, which is what they gave out checks for. They paid out the top 11 spots. So he fished the same section as us. Now there is a chance that fishing it the way he did is why he had better luck, because he got past the areas that had a lot of people in them. Because on day 2, we hit an area where it was just nonstop. There were a lot of other kayakers, a lot of other fishermen,
many people,
and like we just started running into people everywhere we went. We would come around the corner. Yeah. Creek Crawler and Ryan Parker were both from Ohio. So it's that Creek Crawler.
I think I got inducted into the Minnesota Women's Anglers Club while I was out on Saturday. So just I kept telling them that I'm from Indiana, and
they were like, "You should join.
It's fine. You can join.
You should join." She actually got like surrounded by them, and they pulled her.
There was like a bunch of ladies beside me.
I was fishing off by myself, and she was back there with all this group of Minnesota women anglers.
Yeah, and which is fine. Like I don't mind talking, but at the same time, it was the area I really wanted to fish because it was the area I'd pulled out the nice one from the day before, and I couldn't. There was just too many people there. So
Teresa said she just replaced her 12 elks that she lost.
Yeah, that sucks.
I hate it for you.
Did I tell you that she lost all her new lures? Yeah, so
hate
sad.
It for you. That is rough. That's rough. I hate to hear that for sure. Glad that you got them replaced. You won't regret it. They will for sure pay off for you.
We got to get it planned really soon for sure. I'm sorry that we can't come up and meet you this week, Michael. My whole family jumped in.
Yep.
Still.
Yeah, so it's going to be good to see our family from Oklahoma, but at the same time, we definitely would have loved to have went up there and met with you guys. Yeah. Especially because like our boy is the same age as Sean's boy, and we don't have any friends that have boys that age. Nope. Like all of our friends that have boys are all older or younger. none of them have kids in that same age range. So it would be really cool getting him with another boy his age. But yeah, so we're definitely going to meet up with you guys. Cannot wait to do that. And we will be planning a trip to Ohio to hang out for sure. So, got anything else to add on the fishing?
Just what we want for Christmas, because I really think that it would have been beneficial and really helped us. Which I say that, and then the guy that got second place, literally, the guy that got second place paddled.
He paddled.
They said that he would like paddle, and then like get up into a little tree, and and then he'd float out, and then paddle, and get back up there. Like it was insane.
So he caught, the craziest thing is he caught 99 inches in 5 hours and didn't make an upgrade on day 2. So he fished all of day 2 and could not make an upgrade.
Yeah.
He said all his fish that he would catch on day 2 were just too small. And he said right at the very end of the day, he threw out a small finesse jig, and he said he felt something thump it really, really hard, and he started fighting it in, and he said whatever it was huge, and it broke him off. And he said that was within the last hour of the day. It broke him off, and he did not make an upgrade. He said, I'm telling myself it was just a giant pike.
Yep.
But Josh Franco, who won it, actually made his final upgrade in that last hour of the day.
Yeah.
So had Josh not made that upgrade, that guy would have actually pulled off the win.
Yeah.
Josh had this really cool story, and I'm telling Josh's story. If you guys follow Josh at all, he'll tell it. He told it on the awards ceremony. But he said he was fishing along. He was having a hard time because he wasn't making upgrades. He wasn't catching fish. Said he hadn't caught fish in over an hour. And he said, here comes Drew Gregory around the corner, which Drew Gregory is like, if you guys haven't been around him at all, if you don't know how he fishes, Drew is 100 miles a minute in everything he does. Like Drew is always going. And he said, Drew comes around the corner and he's like, I already know Drew is going to want to take video. He's got the drone with him. He's going to want to get footage of me fishing. And he's like, that's the last thing I need right now. I'm not catching fish. He's like, it's not like, I'm not going to get Drew any content. Like this is going to do him no good taking video of me. And Drew comes over there and Drew's like, hey, I was hoping to run the drone. And Josh is like, Drew, like, dude, I have not caught fish in over an hour. He's like, this is going to be pointless. And Drew's like, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw the drone in the air. Drew throws the drone in the air and Josh pulls out. So if you follow Achigan has their own brand of lures that they just came out with. Mm-hmm. They call them the Smalley Snacks. And it's a giant fluke. Josh loves to throw a fluke and he nose hooks it. So it's a giant fluke. It's like a swim bait style fluke. And it's made out of silicone so it can catch tons of fish and keep on running. And he pulls out the fluke and he's like, look, if I'm going to do this, I might as well throw my lure. He throws the Smalley Snacks, and he said he throws it for a little while. He said probably like 10 minutes. And Drew's kind of making his way, and he's like, I'm going to watch you all the way to this next tree, and then I'll go ahead and pull the drone, and I'll go on to someone else. And Josh is like, okay. Josh said a few casts later, right up in that tree where Drew was watching until he threw up in that tree, and all of a sudden, bam, a fish just hit. And it ended up being Josh's, I think, second biggest fish of the day, and it upgraded him and pushed him over that 100 inches.
Yeah.
So not only did he catch that last fish in the last hour, he caught it while being filmed on the drone and caught it on his own custom lure. Yeah. So, like, what a cool thing. I'm so happy for Josh. I mean, I don't know that the win could have went to a better person unless it was one of us.
Right. Right. Maybe next year. So I feel like I did pretty good for not having a river experience, you know?
It was so much fun.
I definitely wasn't disappointed. I had a lot of fun.
I really want to stress, if you guys have even a few hour drive, if there is a kayak adventure series that is near you and you guys like fishing tournaments or even kind of on the edge of fishing a tournament, it's not a cheap tournament. I'm not going to pretend like it is. It's worth the money. It's worth the money putting into it. Even if you know 100% there is no way that you're going to possibly catch fish and place in it, it's worth fishing and getting to meet some of the people you meet. Drew really based this tournament on like the fellowship of kayak angling. Like he made this tournament on being out there and fishing with your peers, meeting the other guys that you're competing against, and building relationships. And that is 100% what this tournament does.
Definitely not like any other tournament out there that I know of. It's so much fun. I've said that way too many times. I need to learn some new adverbs. It's just one of my favorite parts about fishing is the community. And I say that, and I fish from a kayak by myself. So like me and him at this point, now that I can do everything on my own, we pretty much go our separate ways. But it's just like coming back together, sharing the fun stories together, and everyone actually being interested in them. Like it's a lot of fun. The award ceremony is so stinking cool.
I was gonna speak on that too.
Yeah, it's so neat. He usually has it in a theater, by some sort of restaurant or whatever. So we get out, we go grab some food, and then we head into the theater while they're, because we got food first, so they have time to figure out all the wins and all that stuff. It's cool. They put
Drew is an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Drew, I mean, he is just a straight stand-up guy. He 100% cares for the sport. I know Josh said it during the Bass Shoe Brunch. Like, Drew doesn't do this to make money. He does this because he absolutely loves kayak fishing. Drew is 100% through and through a kayak fisherman. I mean, he's literally a Bassmaster, multi-time Bassmaster, and has won the Bassmaster Championship out of a kayak. Like, he is a hammer on the water. There's no reason that he has to put on a tournament series. He does this because he absolutely loves kayak fishing and wants to build the fellowship of kayak fishing. And that is what these tournaments are really based around. Like, so much fun. Like Kayla said, the award ceremony, I don't care how you place in them. If you have the opportunity to go to the award ceremony,
you should
go. Because we were, like she said, we were in like 60th place, and we went to the award ceremony, and it was so cool getting to cheer on all the people that were called up. It was at a theater, so they were called up onto the stage, and we got to cheer each of these people on as they announced how many inches they hit, and whether they were on the kayak cushion hot seat, because the hot seat is where the top angler is. And as they would reveal how many inches this person hit, it would push one of them out of the hot seat. So it was really cool watching that.
It's fun.
They
have a high school division. So there's this kid that was probably like 12. I don't know. Well, I guess that wouldn't be high school. He looked little.
He was young. The high school division covered the 10 and up.
10 and up. Okay.
Yeah.
And he got first place in that, which was another Indiana guy.
Logan DePoy.
Yeah.
So
and he won the micro bag.
So
cool.
And got second place in the high school division. Yeah, he's a great young kid.
Yeah, so they have the micro bag for those that don't know the tournament, small fish. He was super into that and ready to go, but we didn't catch anything small enough for it.
The only fish I caught small enough was during pre-fish. I caught one small enough during pre-fish, and I actually lost it flipping it into the kayak. I think I may have had one on day one that would have measured for the micro bag. So micro bag is anything under 10 inches. But I still don't think it would have been small compared to some of these guys. Like, so Marty Hughes and Logan both caught fish. And I think his micro bag was somewhere like right at 30 inches.
Yeah.
Which you're talking about 5-6 inch fish, which is absolutely insane there. Like, our small fish that we were catching were between 12 to 14, and like I don't know how anybody caught that many fish under 10 inches. Like, both of them caught small fish and culled out their bigger fish and kept getting smaller. So it's pretty unreal. But yeah, it's so much fun. So Charlie, I think you would love the micro bag, like, because you like throwing those little ultralight spoons and stuff. I think you could get into some tiny fish. We've got a friend, Merlin, who likes to throw the little bitty meps, like the mep size 2. And we actually met him and Justin Cavett for dinner before the award ceremony, and got to hang out with him. And yeah, Merlin was talking
They're
about
just really cool people.
Throwing his meps. His meps are his little lures to throw, and he throws them on his BFS, which, Charlie, I think that is something that you would like. I think you would like BFS gear. But so if we come hang out with you, I'll bring my BFS rod and I'll work with you on some casting gear, and I think I'll make you fall in love with it, because I bet you could throw that little 2/5 of an ounce spoon a mile on the BFS rod. and put it exactly where you want it and tear the fish up with it. So
I did win something.
yes, she did.
I did.
She actually won 2 things.
I
You
won
did.
one thing.
You won 2 things.
So they have is Omnia trash. What do they call it?
Tackle for trash.
Tackle for trash. There we go. And so they give you bags and you're supposed to clean out things from the river. And like that first day, like I just wasn't catching any. Sorry.
I'll teach you to throw a casting reel. I'll get you there.
I wasn't catching any fish that first day, and I look up there and I see this big thing. I actually thought it was a tie rim, but after we got it into the thing, it wasn't. I don't know what it was. It had like weird little hinges on it and stuff, so it wasn't a tie rim. But anyways, I see it on the side of the bank, and I was like, well, I'm not catching any fish, so I'm at least gonna try to win this. And I ended up winning the Omnia trash or tackle for trash
because she was the only person who turned in trash because it was kind of unreal. It was such a clean river. Yeah, like we don't know what a clean river is.
No.
Like, we don't see clean rivers.
That was probably the only real trash that I seen.
I seen a shoe, and I could have got it, but it was when I was in the middle of fighting to get my kayak from being rolled. And I think if I would have got it, I would have went ahead and rolled the kayak, so it wasn't worth getting that shoe because I would have trashed up the river a whole lot more with all my gear. So
I saw a tire, but it was like buried halfway in the sand, and I couldn't get it out.
Yeah, she won the Omnia tackle for trash, which got $50 of stuff that she still needs to pick out and buy lures wise.
Oh, he's rushing me.
It's been 2 weeks. Yeah, so she needs to go through that and pick out what she's going to get there. And she also got top female angler. She's going to shortchange that because there were only a couple.
There was only like 3 of us women in there.
But she still got top female angler. And yeah. Like, no joke. Every river I've been on is so full of trash. It's unreal. I could not believe that there was really just hardly any. And everybody we talked to was the same way. They said, like, you just can't. Yeah.
I think I know what I'm getting as long as they have it. I just need to get on there and look at it. But
yeah, so she's wanting to get some stuff to scent lures too. She's thinking about that. So
I like the garlic scent, even though I hate it. There's something about it that I like all at the same time. I don't know.
So I've got some stuff in the cart for her to just look at, and I'm gonna let her go through and pick out whatever. But there's some JJ's Magic. Yeah, there's some JJ's Magic scent that actually has the dye in it, and I think it'd be good. I've heard really good things on it. But yeah, nonetheless, she'll pick out something. But now on to the chartreuse garlic dip. That's what is actually in the cart right now. So on to what we want to get each other for Christmas. So both of us decided something that would really be awesome. Ultimately, it would be awesome for anywhere that we went.
Yep.
But it would be really awesome for any rivers we hit.
Yep.
We want to get motors.
Yep.
And
hopefully Santa's watching.
Yeah. So we're both interested in Newports. I for sure would like to get a Newport NK300. She could probably get away with the NK180 Pro. So if James was on right here, he would probably be like, hey, I can have them loaded and ready at the shop as soon as I get back from, I think in Gulf Shores or
maybe.
I don't
He's
remember.
At the beach. That's all I know.
He's at the beach right now, but that's my buddy over at Midwest Kayak Company. So he could get the Newport motors for us and have them ready to bring our kayaks and get them rigged up there.
Yeah, but we got to get the money first.
But we just got to get ready for that. So, but it's something that we're looking at for potentially Christmas time for each other. We both would like to have motors.
And the main reason why, because I don't know, we can definitely paddle around it. Like I said, that the guy that got second place literally paddled around or whatever. But just being able to go back to spots where I know that there was fish that I just went by way too quickly and did not have the energy. Because in some of those spots, it's flowing way too hard for me to paddle. Yeah. And I tried, or pedal, oh my gosh, pedal back up. And I tried really, really hard. But to be able to just fight that current a little bit and just stay put in some of those spots where I know where I was pulling fish from. Because by the end of that first day, I kind of figured out like what was working for me. And I was pulling fish from it. When I would find that type of area, I was pulling fish from it.
Yeah.
And if I could have a motor and be able to go back up into those spots that I find if I blew past it too fast or whatever. I think that I think, obviously, I don't know, but I feel like I would have done better.
We also didn't get a chance to, like, we couldn't plan out a backup plan for the river. We floated the area that we had floated 2 days before that, knowing that there were fish there, but we may have hit a different section if we had a backup plan for the river. But our only plan was going to the launch, to the takeout that we already knew was there.
Mm-hmm.
If we went to another launch, we would have been randomly going to another takeout that we didn't understand where it was on the river. We would have to learn that while we were going past it. So it was a lot to learn, versus if we had a motor, we could literally put in one area, go down river and fish, and then come right back up the river and take out at the same spot. We don't have to worry about shuttling from area to area. Or we could do exactly what Ryan Parker did and put in an area go upstream and then drift back down to where we wanted to go, which is really one of the best ways to fish a river for smallmouth, because you're not casting your shadow out there for them. You're fishing into the moving stream. As you're going downstream, normally you're casting your shadow downriver. You're also stirring up sand, stirring up dirt, and sending it down to where those fish are in, and they know something's different in the area.
Yeah.
So if you're going upriver, you're going up against the current and you're fishing waters that are essentially untouched until you get there. Yeah. So yeah, that would help out a lot. It would help out for our other tournaments as well, where if we're having a tough day in one spot of the lake, we can flip that motor on and get across the lake so much faster.
Yeah. And we also, I mean, we just ourselves, we have such big goals to hit more, more bigger lakes, more tournaments. We would love to fish if we can budget right for it, because we have 4 kids and a home that we have to take care of.
Yep.
If we can budget right for it, we would love to hit so many more of the Kayak Adventure series, because it's just such a good tournament series.
It sounds like there are going to be multiple that are going to be a little closer driving range next year.
Yeah, it feels like
another one in Missouri. There's going to be one in Indiana. There's going to be one in Wisconsin, which would be another really cool place to go.
Yeah.
So, but the Indiana and Missouri one would probably be within that 5-hour range, where it's not as big of a drive.
3 to 4 hours, probably, unless they move it. But either way, that's just what we're hearing, and that would be cool, because we would love to do that. It would just be so cool. I don't know, to be able to just, hit up all these areas and be able to move around much easier. It'd be cool. So hopefully that happens.
Agreed.
Maybe Newport's listening in.
Yeah. Newport, if you want to sponsor us and help us get your motors on our kayaks, I promise you, I will happily advertise your motors. I know they're good. I know that they're trustworthy. Shout out Newport. If you guys share this to Newport and say, look, these guys are very passionate anglers and would do your product good. And hey, I mean, whatever you want to say about us, we're a good face for the business, because we're not going to be running people down, because we have Christian morals, and we stand on our strong Christian morals. And I think we're great representatives for companies, just to be honest.
Yeah, well, so I am always, for me, when it comes to businesses, and why I share so much about the businesses that I love, is because if I get something that I love, I'm going to tell people about it, because I know that's how my business grows, is by word of mouth. So I'm pretty big on that. And also, when it comes to the opposite, if it's just an okay product, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. If you do me wrong, I'm probably going to be like, hey, don't buy this. But besides that, I don't think they have a Tennessee one. I think the Indiana one is,
as of right now, they don't have it announced. But Drew hasn't put out the full schedule for next year, so
there's still stuff in discussion.
Kind of see what's coming next year.
And the Indiana one is rumored to be the Tippecanoe River.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's
which is
true.
Up north of us. Tippecanoe River, Sugar Creek, stuff like that.
It's so the way they do it, it's a whole boundary, so you can go within 2 hours of. Or something. I don't know exactly.
They give so many mile range, and they'll give hey, you can put in at these launch sites.
Yep.
And if you put in at these launch sites, you've got to take out at an approved launch site also. But say you put in at a spot and this is the last approved launch site, but you can go 10 miles downriver if you can make it back up and get back off at the approved launch site. So you can go out of the range of the launch site. You just got to launch and take out at approved launch sites that are on the list.
Yeah.
We have went really long on this one. I don't know if you've got anything else that we need to add.
I don't think so. I mean, I know. I'm trying to think.
I did want to make sure, and I know I said something about it a little earlier, but I did want to make sure I really push these shirts. Like, so she was talking about companies we love, and the reason why we've got these frogs. If you guys look, so this is a pad slasher frog right here from Tactical Fishing Company. That one's a pad slasher. This is a dragon pop frog.
That's it. That's the only two of that.
Okay, so she did the pad slasher and the dragon pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are frogs that we love. We support Tactical Fishing Company because we love their product.
Yeah.
Andrew Blair never reached out to me and said, "Hey, you should try these frogs." I had heard about the frogs. I had seen him catching snakehead and bass with them, and I was like, I really like the design of his frogs. I'm going to try them out and see what they're like. I reached out to him, actually, and said, "Hey, man, I'm really interested in your frogs. Tell me about them." And he was like, well, he's like, if you get my frogs, he's like, do not boil them because they're ready to go out the package. He said, don't bend the hooks because they're ready to go out of the package. He said, you know, you can trim the skirts to essentially your liking, but like the rest of the frog is ready to go. Don't touch them. Throw them and catch fish. And I got them. And the moment I got them and touched the frogs, I was like, oh, I really like the softness of these frogs. Yeah. They mash down really good. He weights them externally. Now that causes sometimes you to cast a weight off. You can get the weights and put a new weight in there and you just super glue it in. They cast without the weight. They obviously aren't as heavy without the weight, but they cast without the weight and they catch without the weight because I've caught fish on them with and without the weight on the popping frog, the B2 frog, like no problem. I haven't thrown the pad slasher as much. She has.
I really liked it. But I've got to say, I have never used another frog besides theirs. So I'm not necessarily one that can be like, they're the best frogs ever, but I can tell you they are really good frogs and I have caught them on it. I picked them up, or I was able to, I mean, obviously I went through my learning curve because anybody who frogs fish knows that it's its own thing. It's a big learning curve. But as soon as I've got it, obviously I still miss fish occasionally because you think you waited your 3 seconds and then you realize you didn't. But I've landed many fish on them. So I definitely can say that they are good frogs.
Yeah. I love the frogs.
They're affordable.
And yeah, they're great priced. Andrew designs them himself. Go back and watch Wendell's podcast and he actually talks about them. He may talk about them a little more because I just kept pushing him on that podcast because I love him so much. I think you probably wanted to talk more about his soft plastic. Yeah. But so I love his frogs, but he literally balances them out by the gram and makes sure everything is perfectly balanced. He knows exactly how much his weights are and the skirts and everything. I mean, he sets them up perfectly and does not put out a product that he's unpleased with. He's actually has some more frogs that he's working on getting put up on the website, but his first ones came through not the exact color that he wanted them to be and not the quality that he wanted them to be. So he ended up having to redo them. And so he puts all the hardware in them. He does everything to them. He just has the frogs made. So great product. Love these frogs. Yeah. And the reason why she made this shirt is because how much we love these frogs.
Oh yeah. And
so check out Allure Fishing Apparel, ALLURE Fishing Apparel. You can check them out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Give her a follow. Like she's doing this again, like Josh was talking about. It's a passion. Like she's loving the fishing community. She's loving helping grow the fishing community. She wants to grow more female anglers. She wants there to be more female anglers in what we're competing in. So check out her stuff. Support her. She makes this and a couple other patterns in men's patterns. And then she makes several patterns that are just female, just women's sizes.
And I have.
She's wearing one of her new ones, which is hooks that are shaped into hearts. So it's a really cute pattern.
My favorite is the crankbait, and I should have wore it tonight, but it was dirty.
Yeah, the crankbait's really nice. I have one of those as well. I do like the crankbait. I never wear patterns, but I had to get this shirt. And you already know I love crankbaits, but I had to get this shirt because I love these frogs so much. So, and we went out and threw the frog and caught one on them at the same time. So, but yeah, so thank you guys so much for sticking around. I know we've been on here. This is way longer than any of our other previous podcasts. We
normally stop about 90 minutes or at least.
Yeah. A lot of times between 70 and 90. So thank you guys that have stayed for as long as you have. I appreciate all you guys, and anybody listening in podcast format, come over to my YouTube channel, give me a sub, and make sure that you guys watch some of my content. I'm putting stuff out there and working on growing every day. So thank you and have a great one.